Roll call, please.
Miller,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Haig.
Yes. First up, presentation of public safety. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, as we continue through our departmental updates, this evening is the Public Safety Department, and we want Chief Metzko to update us on last year's activities.
Thank you very much. So I'll jump right in. Good morning, or good evening, not good morning. As you guys all know, I'm Bryce Metzko, currently the Chief of Mexico Public Safety, and I'm going to be giving you the department update for this year, which is mostly a recap of our 2025 annual report, which you guys all have in your packet. And I always forget it. Roll? Yes, all right. So here's the numbers. By the numbers, I'll start with the call count, the calls for service. We had about 12,580 calls for service in 2025. So that's when someone picks up the phone or otherwise reaches out to us and wants or needs our help. When you map that out, that's about 34 times a day. And as you guys all know, we are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That number doesn't say a lot of the story of where our hustle is. The hustle is in the dispatch count, 28,561 dispatch counts. A dispatch count includes those calls for service, but in addition, it's anything we do that's self-initiated. So it's traffic stops, it's when we go out and we're doing follow-up on an investigation, banging on doors, talking to people. It's when we do things like maybe a secluded area check or a park patrol or something like that. It's kind of the more self-initiated stuff, and that's really where the difference is made. I believe that's where the difference is made. There are some cop shops that just take the calls and move on and don't work to reduce it. But I think in the hustle, which as you see, over half the time that these guys and gals are spending, it's on other things besides just responding to a call. And I do believe that's where we make a little bit of difference, or maybe a lot of bit of difference. As a side note, that dispatch count number is more than double all other dispatch counts of law enforcement and fire departments in Audrain County combined. We generated 2,517 reports, because despite what those cool cop shows on TV show, cops have to spend about 30% of their time doing documentation. So that's the documentation we produced. We did about 1,542 traffic stops, which is up 13% from 2024. Took 268 people to jail, sent 985 cases to a prosecutor, and that can either be the county prosecutor, the city prosecutor, or the juvenile office. And went to 242 fire calls and did about 1,933 ambulance assists or first responder runs, however you want to call it. Our NIBRS numbers. So NIBRS is National Incident-Based Reporting System. That's how the feds and the state keep track of crimes that they want to keep track of so they can tell a story about crime wherever. So our numbers, as you can tell by that cool looking graph on the right, how it's all curved down, our NIBRS numbers took a big drop in 2025, which is a good thing. That's supposed to be our goal. The majority of our NIBRS crimes actually remain the same. The majority of them didn't really change much, which is actually okay, because it's not like we were being overrun with crime anyway, but they mostly stayed the same. In addition, our clearance rates stayed pretty ballpark where they have been in recent past, and that's pretty good too. For example, we tend to be above the national average in most of our clearance rates. For example, burglaries. Nationwide, you're never going to see clearance rates above 20 to 25%, and right now they're not even close to that. And we maintained around 44%. So that goes back to that hustle I was talking about and all that follow-up. The guys and gals are working pretty hard. The decrease in the overall numbers is 100% completely decrease in thefts. We had fewer people stealing stuff this year than in years past, and that's a good thing too. I think they put in a little bit of work to help get that reduced as well. Beginning of 2025, we had some groups of young people, juveniles and young adults who decided to come into Mexico from other places and just take anything that wasn't nailed down. And that would include stealing from cars. That would include occasionally stealing cars. And we put in a lot of hustle, we put in a lot of work, ran those investigations into and through and with other jurisdictions, which isn't always easy. Sometimes that takes a little coordination, a little bit of extra work trying to get a hold of people who aren't really in your home turf. But we did that, sent quite a few cases to some prosecuting authority, and so hopefully there is a whole group of young people who have learned they can't just come to town and take our stuff, or they can, but then they won't get away with it. That's the hope. Traffic.
Where were they coming from?
Various places. And this isn't just it happening in Mexico. There's groups actually in metro areas, young people that think they can go to smaller rural places and be cool and take a bunch of stuff. But then not all of it was from metro areas too. It might just be from other smaller towns too, so, because they've got to be cool as well, right?
Aggravated assault?
What's an aggravated assault?
Yeah.
Serious physical injury or with a weapon. It's not just maybe like one pop, black eye or something. It's more the ones going to the hospital or having a weapon involved.
Okay.
So, traffic crashes. So I keep saying this year after year. I'm scared year after year. Our numbers on traffic crashes keep going down, and the whole time I have been here, I have not seen 211 crashes in a year. So we are going to hope that continues, that trend continues. And the officers have been doing their part on that as well. I already mentioned that our traffic stops were up 13% from a year before. So they've been doing well in that regard, but there is one number that is staying stubbornly high. You can see that it's the fatalities, right? The bold numbers on the bottom. We are having trouble getting that number to 0 or 1 consistently. The centerline rumble strips that I cried about a few years ago are in place, and they in fact do seem to be doing their job. Since they have been put in place, we have had 0 crashes on the bypass and 0 fatalities that had to do with drifting over the center line, and that's what they were designed to prevent. So yay. Our fatality problem now, most recently, has to do with impaired driving. Maybe some, what I've been calling emotional driving or driving mad, road rage type stuff, aggressive driving. But by and large, impaired driving is kind of kicking us around right now. We are trying to do our part. We're working pretty hard at that. 2025, we did 30 arrests for DWI, impaired driving. That was up 50% from 2024. Major Thompson, I think we bragged about him in end of 24 or early 25. He is a drug recognition expert, DRE, one of the stronger performing ones in Region F in this area of the state. And he's actually jumped in now and he's helping LETI, Law Enforcement Training Institute. He's helping to train new up-and-coming officers in the academy, making them better at detecting and making prosecutable cases. So we're going to keep doing this, and we are going to see if we can get that last number down. Fire calls, fire responses, they've stayed pretty much status quo with what we've had the past several years, both in total calls and in our Group A pages. Group A page is the fires that aren't just false alarms, aren't just smoke scares, the stuff that we might have to actually work a little bit harder on. So that pie graph thing on the right is supposed to show the Group A pages and what in fact they all entailed, and I realized that translated horribly to a slide because you can't tell at all what each color means by that key. So hopefully it's a little bit better, a little bit clearer in the actual annual report in your packet. But I did include these pictures, and the picture to the right is actually from a natural cover fire, a grass fire at the old AP Green property a couple of years ago. And the reason I included that is because on the slide previously, what we've spent most of our time fighting in Group A pages is natural cover fires the past couple of years, grass fires. That is a trend nationwide. It used to be grass fires in a town didn't really mean much. It used to mean, it used to be something that no one ever really had to think about. That is no longer the case. There's a trend, and they get a little more significant, as you can tell, especially a bunch of dead trees around. They just burn right up them. So that is something we are paying attention to. That is something that we will keep working to be ready for. But there was some actually very good firefighting, very good work in 2025. A couple of years ago, I stood up here, I think, and I talked about a fire we had in 2023. We had a fatality fire in an apartment building in the winter, early spring, I think. And that was, we had a fatality in that fire. That was one of the bravest attempts at saving someone in a fire that I have witnessed, and we came up just short. We were a few feet, less than a minute short of having a cool ending, and that was actually pretty rough on the crew. When you put in all that effort and put in that fight and come up just short, you know, that can be a gut punch, and that can be rough. But this year, we did have a totally different outcome and a much better ending. In October, we responded to a house fire. A woman and her young child, were trapped in the basement. The fire was actually burning the basement door, so she could not get up the stairs and get out. The crew showed up, did what they were supposed to do. We were able to rescue, saved her child, actually saved the majority of the structure, and saved the neighbor's house because it was burning as well. So we had a much better ending. So the crew really, they deserved that, and that was a good thing. So I will say that in 2025, this team did some very, very good firefighting. So, these are our numbers on how we get our stuff done. This is personnel conduct reports, which is when people reach out to us and tell us their opinions of us. And use of force reports, which is when we keep track of how often we have to use some sort of force to get people in compliance. On the PCR, the personnel conduct report, as you can see, we had many more complaints against officers than we have had in recent past. That's the allegations of misconduct row. I will say we look into all of these. We don't blow people off. There was one that when we looked into it, we counted it as sustained, which basically means when we looked into it, we did not feel that the officer did things as we would have liked, in line with what we try to have as our policies and how we get things done. We have addressed that. That is resolved, and hopefully we are better now than we were when that issue happened. Use of force reports, you can see 2025 was very comparable to 2024. different types of force maybe, fewer officers involved, but we had the exact same number of incidents. Bottom line, right now there are more people that are ready, willing, and able to fight than in years past, and that's okay. We will continue to train and be ready and still bring all those issues to a safe resolution if at all possible. So our vision statements, I presented these to you guys last year, I believe. Vision statements, this is kind of how we want to get things done. Police work, all emergency response, but in particular police work, has a lot of dynamic situations, a lot of variables, too many to where you can have policies, procedures, and checklists that tell everybody exactly what they have to do at any given moment. So we've got these now to kind of be the caulk, to kind of fill in the gaps. And it's just kind of to help the officers remember what they need to do and how they need to do it to accomplish our mission and to reach our goals. So I know this is a very busy slide, but artistically, I'll say that was intentional. So we believe in making good criminal cases. We do it all the time. I've been throwing out numbers now for however long I've been talking. And that's important. That's the basic root of why police exist. What most police departments know is if there actually is a significant issue in a community or society as a whole, you can't really just arrest your way out of it, right? So we want to do our part on making the arrest, but you also have to make some solid partnerships and maybe try to get other people to do some of the work for you. So police work is full of partnerships. Cop shops work together. We work with prosecutors. We work with quasi law enforcement agencies like Children's Division and stuff. We've had all kinds of partnerships forever to various degrees of success, but there's all kinds of other partnerships out there, and whether or not you get involved and how far you get involved is varied from department to department. And I do believe this is an area where right now we have a pretty good balance. So for example, the drug problem, people talk about drugs in most communities pretty early on in any conversation about crime. We obviously make our arrests. We made 57 arrests this year. That was up 24% from the previous year. But we go beyond that, and several years ago we actually helped facilitate drug court or treatment court in this county. We are currently one of the largest contributors for the East Central Drug Task Force, which helps build cases that cross jurisdictional lines. We've also been part of ACCORD since its inception. ACCORD stands for the Audrain County Coalition on Reducing Drugs, and we jump into those meetings and try to help anytime and every time we can. The homeless issue, as that started becoming something discussed area-wide a couple of years ago, we jumped in, we did our proactive patrols, and we applied the laws. We feel we applied the laws appropriately to kind of keep the issue under control. And then beyond that, we really try to hook people up with resources if they are willing to take advantage of them. We work with transitional housing and other places. There's other programs, I won't start listing them, to where if somebody is willing, they can take advantage of it and get out of a situation. And transitional housing I think they just threw out something recently that said 2025 they had a 48% success rate. So boom, that's them reducing a problem and helping us in the end, or in addition. Mental and behavioral health, we deal with people in mental and emotional crisis all the time. I actually do believe that the numbers show that Mexico Public Safety deals with those situations better than many of our peers. And the reason why is CIT is crisis intervention training. It's the buzzword. All cop shops are supposed to be adopting it. But again, how you adopt it is very different. And we've basically integrated that kind of training throughout all of our shifts, everywhere it goes, as opposed to just training a couple of people so you can check a box and say you have somebody with a cool title and not really do much with it. In addition, we work pretty darn closely with the Arthur Center. We make referrals to them, and they have a Community Behavioral Health Liaison. That's what that CBHL is, and we make referrals when we come across people who haven't committed a crime. Maybe even, hopefully we can catch it a little sooner than when it gets really bad, and we try to start getting another solution, because we do make the arrests, but again, you can't just arrest your way out of a lot of this. So we do that. And as a matter of fact, this East Central CIT Council, we're very involved in that. It's a public safety officer is currently a co-chair of that council, so we're staying in the game. School safety, always a big topic. It's been for decades now, right? And we have a very strong SRO program. Some areas just stop there. We do not. We actually, we have our SROs, and they are great liaisons, and it is a strong program, as I said. But more than that, the entire department, we stay in communications with the schools, and it's not just Mexico Public Schools. There's St. Brendan's, there's Southside Christian Academy, there's MMA, and we stay in contact with administration, and we stay available and try to help them with their issues. This past year, we kind of helped St. Brendan's. We had some safety meetings with them and kind of helped maybe them work through some stuff they were struggling with. And so we do that. We stay with all the schools. We stay trained. And unfortunately, and actually, that's not as common as most people tend to think. Not done though. LEPC. Audrain County has LEPC, Local Emergency Planning Commission. That has to deal with disasters involving hazardous material, like supposedly if a big thing happens, it's scary chemicals. LEPC is supposed to help all emergency response agencies handle it better. It's supposed to be a partnership between the private companies that have those chemicals and the emergency responders and the public in general. We've had an LEPC forever. A couple of years ago, it was kind of struggling. A couple of years ago, there were some issues. It wasn't able to meet its goals as effectively because there were some issues with the state and some funding and some laws and just the typical kind of things that happen from time to time. Public safety officer jumped in, became chair of the LEPC. Despite how much he did not enjoy it at all, but he did it, he stuck with it. And the LEPC is in a stronger place. We got some things lined out. I do believe the LEPC is in a stronger place with a little bit better participation and effectiveness than it was a few years ago. Major case investigation, Mid-Missouri Major Case Squad, that's what all those M's are for. We still have very strong involvement with Mid-Missouri Major Case Squad. Not only do we have a trained pool of officers that are ready to go out and help when needed, we actually practice that in our own in-house. We use the same methodology, lead sheet style, supervised investigations on larger investigations in-house. So not only do we have better outcomes, but we are ready and trained if needed to help anywhere else. And then finally, training. Law Enforcement Training Institute, LATI in Columbia, this past year, maybe the end of '24, it got in a little bit of trouble. It was having some problems with management. It was having some problems with post. And actually, MU was trying to kind of divorce itself from LATI. And the Boone County Sheriff's Department jumped in and kind of helped turn it back around. And quietly, we were right there behind them in doing that whole thing. And they've actually, Boone County Sheriff has developed a regional law enforcement training center on their campus. And it's actually pretty state-of-the-art for around here for a training center. And so we are part of that. We participate and use that as much as possible. Since it opened in January, we might be using it as much or more as anyone else besides Boone County itself since it started. So that's an example of our partnerships. Along the lines of training, pretty typical of every year, we did over 3,000 hours of training in various topics. I've got a list in the annual report, so I won't bore everyone with that. We do a lot of public relations and public education events. That's part of being out in the community, having our beautiful smiling faces around when things aren't bad. And who knows, every once in a while we can maybe educate people a little bit, help them be a little bit safer in whatever area it is we're helping. In addition, we firmly believe in being where the people are. So that's where you're going to have police deal with people problems. So you got to be where the people are. So that means if there's any event, whether it's a parade, whether it's a festival, if it's just like, say, holiday patrols when people are out shopping a little harder, we try to get out there where the people are so that everyone can enjoy whatever it is Mexico has to offer in a safe manner. So everyone knows we provide police and fire services to Mexico, but actually very few people look at the formula of how we get it done. The truth is most people don't care. And that's fine, because actually if emergency responders, in particular the police, are doing their job, people are free to think about other things and not really care how it gets done. So it's fine if not much thought process has gone into that, but sometimes when people do try to evaluate it, they immediately assume that we're like a cheap or a less than solution to safety. And, you know, our performance every year just refutes that. The numbers just every year refute that. I've been told that we're just lucky, right? I've been told we're lucky that nothing has gone wrong. I gotta say, we've been doing it for 53 years. That's a heck of a luck run. So it's understandable that people don't really think about much how public safety actually works. I don't know what I did. Did I do that? Because there's not a lot of us in the United States, and those of us that do exist all do it a little bit differently. In Missouri, there's Sikeston, DePere, Maryville, and us. Kalamazoo, Michigan has a large public safety department, and there's several other smaller ones around Kalamazoo. They kind of feed off of it. A lot of people don't know that the Columbia Airport Police for years were a public safety department, but they have dissolved. They no longer exist, or they broke up. And on the East Coast, a lot of transit authority police are actually public safety as well. Broward County, Florida runs a public safety department through its sheriff's department, and Daytona Beach Shores, Florida became a public safety department in 1991. So the reason I'm bringing that out is to show that it is in fact possible for one agency to provide professional police and fire services to a community. It's not easy, but it can in fact be done. The advantages of a public safety department is that it does save taxpayers money. It also routinely has more people on a scene that are trained and equipped to handle a situation and to resolve an issue than kind of having a siloed response effect. So, the way we found our success is through our people. 100%, it's our people and their flexibility. That's what we've built ourselves on. Everyone at Mexico Public Safety knows that at any given moment, they may be asked to do anything cop or anything fire. And they're actually told that before they even interview with us. So these are the people we've added. In 2025, that's Josh Slater on the left, Emily Moore on the right. There on the left is Zachary Bolt, and on the right is Kira Henderson. Henderson is a volunteer firefighter. We also brought on another volunteer firefighter, Jeffrey Owen, and we hired a part-time clerk, Kim Finfausen, to help us with some of that paperwork stuff I was crying about earlier. I just didn't have pictures for them. We did hire another officer, PSO Hans Wetter, in 2025. He resigned before making it off of probation. So in 2025, we were only able to hire 27% of the people that applied. That number's not atypical for nowadays. In 2024, we only hired 20% of applicants, and in 2023, we hired around 29% of applicants. We are still being very careful on relaxing our standards, but just like everywhere, when you couple everyone's search for quality in today's labor market, it can be very draining and kind of taxing. We did lose ground in 2025. We hired 4 and lost 5. We've actually lost 2 more already in 2026. So we are now sitting at 7 short, which is close to the record that I have seen since being here. The upside is that we have 13 people with 5+ years experience. And you can do the math. If I say we're 7 short, close to 50% of us have 5+ years experience. And overall, this team consistently performs at a high level. They are hardworking. They are dedicated. As a matter of fact, the city just gave out its attendance awards for trying to minimize sick leave use for 2025, and 34% of public safety personnel who were eligible for that award earned it. So they are showing up, they are giving it their all. And so we've got a really solid core of people to build on. Our goal, what we need to do is we need to build on it. We need to build on it with some urgency before we lose some more of that foundation. And that is basically our most pressing issue in 2026 and moving forward. So I can keep giving you these cool little numbers and saying nothing's falling apart. Are there any questions?
Yes. What is the OPN on the use of force?
Orcutt Police Nunchaku. So we actually...
I'm sorry?
Orcutt Police Nunchaku. We are, that's another area we are in the minority. It is an intermediate weapon that we carry. They are nunchucks. So the days, a lot of officers, a lot of departments would carry a baton of some kind. So what I tell people is batons can be used for control, but they're primarily designed for striking. OPNs can be used for striking, but they're primarily designed for control. Basically, if we can get it around you in some way, shape, or form, I mean, we can hit you with them, but if we can get it around some limb in some way, shape, or form, there's significant help in pain compliance using them. We've found them to be pretty darn successful. I used to be an instructor with them when I had more energy. So that's what they are.
Thanks. Interesting.
Do we not have enough applicants? Why are we 7 short, I guess?
There's a whole lot of reasons to that, probably, and I probably can't go into a whole bunch of detail, or else you guys will be here all night. But now we're hurting for applicants. We are not getting applicants. And then...
That's nationwide.
The way we go...
Loads is way short.
Yep. Kind of what I said, we're all, every workforce, every profession, everybody's, there is a labor shortage, I think, and then finding people who are willing to put in any sort of extra effort becomes difficult sometimes. And that's not, I'm not saying we're unique in that spot, but yeah, we are hurting. So, got tons of plans in place, thoughts in place, and, I plan on bonding with Mr. Slagle and us talking to you guys with any kinds of great ideas we might have moving forward, because I would love to see this get at least stabilized a little bit more.
How much of it's related to pay, do you think?
Pay is an issue.
How do we compare then to?
Yeah, well, we're doing the compensation study, and so before I speak off the cuff, I probably will wait until we get, a lot of that, but that's a thing. All right, I'm about to run.
Thank you.
I enjoyed your report.
Thank you, Chief, very much.
Approval of minutes.
I move we approve.
Miller,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes. News business resolutions. Bill number 2026-06, resolution authorizing the city manager to sign change order number 1 with Sam Graves Construction. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, we have a project which you're aware of, which is on the fairgrounds for the culvert at Lakeview Lake, and we need to make some changes to the plans, and to cover the details, Drew Wilford.
Oh, good evening, council. As Bruce mentioned, the resolution that you have before you is for change order number 1 for the fairground culvert replacement project. This is the one where we're draining Lakeview Lake and anticipated the contractor coming in to replace the culvert on the upstream end, the west side, that runs underneath fairground. And we found out during, we'll say, the latter part, actually after design phase was complete, but while construction was being planned, that we have a couple utility conflicts that we did not anticipate. One being with our own sanitary sewer network, the other being with natural gas. Upon review, we've determined it's best to redesign the culvert, so we engaged Bartlett and West, our design consultant, excuse me, on the project, and they took that culvert from a 7-foot height to a 5-foot height, and they widened the culvert to 10 feet instead of 8 feet. That caused the walls to be thicker, caused the culvert to be a little bit longer, and so the contractor submitted that design to the precaster, and the precaster came back with a nearly $26,000 increase in price. The culvert does have over 80% more concrete in it now, and so we have reviewed it. Everything looks acceptable given the pricing these days. This has been run by DNR. They have provided confirmation that it would be eligible for the grant. As you know, the grant maximum is likely to be exceeded in this case. Grant maximum is likely to be exceeded as you look at the whole entire grant. Though, in order to proceed with the project, the culvert is in a failed condition, I would call it. It is a truck route. It's in need of replacement. This is the correct option to move forward with it. The one thing I would note is that this price does not include labor to install it. There may be an increase in labor as well that I have to come back with to install it. But at the moment, we'd recommend proceeding with reading of the resolution for that change order number 1 at a total cost of $25,946.16. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Did Sam Gaines look for any other bids on that thing?
Precast companies are not all that common around here. I think there's only 1 or 2 in the rough immediate area, and I think this one's out of Marshall, is what I recall.
It's at Columbia Precision Precast.
No, it wasn't in Columbia. I'm sorry. The other one's in Marshall. My apologies.
Move for reading of bill number 2606.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
Bill 2026-06, a resolution authorizing city manager to sign change order number 1 with Sam Gaines Construction LLC for the Fairground Culvert Replacement Project being part of ARPA grant number DNR SWE6AC060D6A299, excuse me, Paul got that out of order. In the amount of $25,946.16.
Move for passage.
For passage.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes. Bill number 2026-07, resolution adopting residential refuge rates covering anticipated costs. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. As we prepared the budget last fall, we indicated that we'd be back at this time of year for the rate increase because it coincides with the residential services and the contract with Ames Waste, and to cover the details, Vicki.
Good evening. In April of 2024, the city began their 10-year contract, that renewed 10-year contract with Danes Waste Disposal. So the contract includes some annual pricing adjustments that are set each year to take place April 1st. The staff has taken into consideration all of this residential unit pricing in that contract, along with other operating expenses related to the sanitation services provided by the city that should be funded through these user fees. Provided below is a summary of the anticipated expenses for the sanitation department for the next 12 months beginning April 1st, 2026, followed by a fee adjustment calculation. Please note that the anticipated costs, they include some fees to help cover the household hazardous waste collection, and part of the brush yard operations are included in these fees as well. So when you look at the expenses, then we deduct off of that any special pickup fees that are assessed us. So if a resident has something bulky or large, those fees are taken out of consideration because they're directly passed on to the customers. And then any interest earned in the fund is also deducted. On page 2, you'll see how we came up with our calculation, that total expense divided by the roughly 4,400 residential accounts that we bill, so $195.52 per year, and then take that divided by the monthly billing cycle, gets us to that $16.29 per month rate. That is the base rate. The contract with Danes allows for a fuel adjustment. So you'll see that oftentimes it fluctuates a little bit month to month. But if we look just at that base rate, we're looking at a 4.11% increase between those two 12-month cycles. So staff recommends council proceed with reading by title only and passage of the attached resolution setting that monthly base rate for sanitation services in the amount of $16.29 with a fuel cost adjusted rate cap of $17.49 for the 12-month period beginning April 1st, 2026 through March 31st, 2027. So if you have any questions?
I move for reading of bill number 2026-07.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Bill number 2026-07, a resolution adopting residential refuse rate covering anticipated cost of sanitation services beginning April 1, 2026. I move for passage of bill 2026-07.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes. Other business, staff report, approval of depository banking services. Mr. Slagle?
Yes, Your Honor, it is the time that we go out for requests for proposals for our depository and banking services. And we received proposals back, and to cover the details and the recommendation, once again, Vicki Dingy.
So on December 18th, we published for a request for proposals to be sent to the 6 area banks here with a branch in Mexico and advertised it in the Mexico Ledger on December 24th. Proposals were requested for a 5-year period starting April 1st of 2026, running through March 31st of 2031, with options for 2 1-year extensions. Proposals were received from all 6 banks in Mexico. That's not happened the last couple of cycles as we went out for bid, so we were pleased. We feel like that gave us a chance to really make sure that we are getting the best value for our taxpayers, not only in the fees and the program, the products they're offering, but also the interest earnings. The proposals, of course, consisted of 3 parts: services provided, fee for their services, and interest rates to be paid on our collective balances on all the city accounts. Proposals for cost of services have been annualized and incremented so we could make fair comparisons. This is probably one of the rare years where most banks, all of the banks that made a proposal based it on a very similar Fed rate. So it wasn't a lot of extra apples and oranges kind of comparison. We are very thankful that, trends on our average investment balances and interest rates have been used to make those comparisons, just to really spell it out in the attached sheets that we provided. Based on that analysis and the investment rate proposals, the services provided, the associated fees, and all the financial strength, which was solid of all of our banks here in town, staff determined the bid package from People's Savings Bank, or now PSB Bank, to be overall the best bid for the city, regardless of which of their two options they provided. Under the first proposal they provided, they use a cooperative network called Intrify, which is not uncommon for what we've used in the past. In my years here, they're offering us 100% of the Fed funds rate with a 0.5% floor. So even in the event that we had a wild time like COVID where the interest rates kind of bottomed out, we would still have some protection there. Their second proposal was maybe what would be considered a more traditional pledged fund account that would offer us the 95%. Both clearly meet the Missouri state statutes for how cities are governed with investments and how our investment policy here at the City of Mexico is structured. So they are both acceptable forms of accounts for us. So the first proposal is our recommendation, and we would recommend that council award the depository banking services for the period of April 1st, 2026 through March 31st, 2031, with options for 2 one-year renewals to PSB Bank for the depository services. And then I've got the accounts listed there. We have some requirements to hold funds separately, so that kind of lays out the accounts that we have, the operating account being the big one, and then we hold some funds through municipal court for an access account for the crisis intervention service, and then we have some protest money that we've received over the years for telecommunications, and then a lien clearance redevelopment authority account, and then a couple of accounts. One is the way some grant funds flow in, so those by law and by rules of those grants, they have to be non-interest bearing, as well as our municipal court bond account. And tonight with us, Derek Stuckensnyder, PSB Bank's regional bank president, is here with us. So if you've got any questions, we do our best to answer them.
I propose that we award the account for the depository banking services for the period of April 1, 2026 through March 31st, 2031. That's not written right. Through March 31st of 2027, shouldn't it be?
No, it's a 5-year
Oh, 5 year, okay.
contract. Yep.
With an option of 2 one-year renewals to People's Savings Bank.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Hague.
Yes. Back in the day, didn't used to get a toaster? Did the city get a toaster or
I
something?
thought we'd do it.
Maybe open up
An iron?
an account or something? I don't know. Times change. Pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Hague.
Yes. Council comments. Let's start with Ms. Briggs.
Oh, I go first this time.
There you go. Tell us, yes.
Well, the only thing I can think that was really nice was going to the chamber dinner, and congratulations to all the people who won awards, and it was always fun to go and see everybody, and especially encouraged by the number of young people that show up and come. So that's all I have.
Yeah. Mr. Miller.
Well, that's about the only thing I can think of, too, that's really exciting happened lately is the chamber dinner, and she sped all the young people showing up, and she and I were discussing how many of those people we know by name. As you get older, you move away from some of the young people, but that's good that that they're taking our place.
It's a good sign for the community.
Mr. Ray.
I was out of town, so I could not go to that, but yeah, it was all good results there, so no other comments.
Mr. Weber.
Your all's definition of fun and excitement is different than mine. But I did go and enjoyed the tar out of it. That's all I have.
Mr. Slagle?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Sorry, I missed the chamber dinner. I was in town. 2 weeks ago, we hosted 38 girl wrestling teams for districts here at Mexico. It was a jam-packed sports complex. And then this last weekend, we hosted 16 boys teams. So Friday night, I was sending matches out on the mat, and it was 2 good weekends. I'm hoping Mexico's businesses got a little bit of a bump before all those people being here. So might need to do a little more organization with the number of girls teams, with maybe get some of those restaurants to stay open a little later because we got done a little late. But it was good. It was fun for that. But congratulations to all the winners. Thanks to Councilman Miller for filling in. Usually when I do something, they always ask where he is. So they got him this time. So they got the more popular one.
But I didn't do near as good a job as you.
I don't know about that. All right, so the public comments. If anybody in the public has a comment, you can come to the podium, state your name, and give your address, and you have a maximum of 3 minutes. Not seeing anybody. I need...
Move we adjourn into executive session pursuant to the revised statute of Missouri 610-021, litigation and legal services.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Hague,
Yes.